What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of The More Show. Now on today's show, I'm about to welcome back my two guests, Sheila and Marcus Gillette. Now Sheila channels a group of archangels collectively known as THEO, and the group began speaking through Sheila Gillette following her near-death experience in 1969. Now THEO has transformed hundreds of thousands of lives over the years with messages of self-love, expansion, joy, and including guiding Esther Hicks, the channel for Abraham. Now, for the past few years, THEO has been highlighting the importance of embracing one's psychic gifts. They have shown people time and time again the incredible transformation that can occur when we acknowledge the psychic abilities that exist within us all, and how to use those innate psychic abilities to enjoy a more fulfilling life. Now, Sheila and her partner Marcus join me now to discuss their free psychic self-discovery series with THEO, and we'll also discuss the current times we live in with a message from THEO later in the show. So Marcus and Sheila Gillette, welcome back to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Kevin.
It's an honor to be with you again, Kevin. It's nice to see you.
Guys, it's great to have you back on, and you've been on the show a number of other times. You've also been on the Channeling docu-series as well. Anything we talk about today, including all the past shows and the Channeling docu-series, we'll link in the description below. If you just go to show more on the YouTube video, you'll see everything that I've linked in there. So on today's show, we're going to talk about the Psychic Self-Discovery series, but to begin with, Sheila, you know, I do feel for you that your life's work has led up to this time that we live in right now. Would you agree?
Absolutely, Kevin. You know, Theo's been talking about this time for 5 decades. My first book, The Fifth Dimension, Channels to a New Reality, spoke about these things that are going on today. It's relevant for this moment. And what this is we, you know, birthing a new world is messy. Birth is messy. And all of these things are leading up to the foundations that we've, our belief systems, the structural foundations of our political parties and our economic structures. They're all dissolving, and new is going to be formed, a better foundation for our whole species and all the species on this planet. But we have to trust in that and know we've chosen to be here purposefully for the changes that are coming to a higher conscious state. And, you know, the chaos, out of chaos will come order. And yes, people want to know what's happening to me and through me and for me, but they're also concerned about each other. And many things that are happening now, is leading to us recognizing that we are all connected. It doesn't matter what color our skin, the language we speak, the place we live on the planet. There is a oneness in our species, and that we're better together than we are apart. And so many of these cataclysmic events, which the pandemic has been, now the war, is many things happening for us to realize that and to change our belief systems, that we're not powerless. And using our intuitive gifts, we can realize that. And we've always done it, Kevin. We've all, the freeze, fright, flight, fear, freeze thing starts at birth because we're sentient beings. Our bodies are a huge receptor of information. And so we developed this over many, many years, and we call it something else. We think of it as something else, but we have evidence in our lives that we are powerful beings, and we know the truth, and we can tap in or go into that truth and check in.
This is so important what you're saying as well. And Marcus, I'm going to come to you as well. But what you're saying here is so true in the sense that for some people as well, events like this, right, that we're all being a part of right now and witnessing, whether online or on TV, it does push some of us into a new form of purpose. And which that new form of purpose is definitely the tapping into that greater part of yourself, listening to that intuitive part, learning spiritual awareness, coming into your abilities in a sense, and for others it's the same journey but in a different way. I just think now it's forcing people, isn't it, into thinking in a different direction, love being one of them.
Having critical thinking, trusting your truth barometer inside of you. We all have them. When we speak the truth or we hear the truth, for myself, I have a visceral feeling in my body. It's like a big chill goes through, even if I'm not cold. And I recognize that over my lifetime, that's truth. And we all have it. However, we know there's a no-doubtedness, and we need to use that to ask on the inner, is this true or is that true? Because we need to be in touch with the power of our soul, and that's what it is.
Yeah, which when you do touch that side of your soul, it does change so much about a person in some respects. You never go back to being the same, do you? And sometimes, my point is, it's events like this that really push us to want to, maybe work on that side of us because, we feel so out of control sometimes, don't we?
Yes. And with the pandemic, there was this pause. Everybody had to stop what they were doing. It was a time to get quiet. And it was really, in our community, a time to work on listening to our own soul, checking in on our own truth barometer, and developing these intuitive gifts that we all have. It's our natural state. But there are those of us who have been told it's not, and have been told it's inappropriate, and develop fear around it. And so part of my life work, Kevin, is assisting people to understand that it's their natural birthright to use their intuitive gifts. I know the word psychic is a bit off-putting to many people. It's and my grandmother used to say, that's a hot potato word, because if you hold a hot potato, you want to throw it away. So intuition is something we all have and can be developed and used. We use it daily in our lives, and it's just assisting others to understand it and not be afraid of it.
Let me add one thing. As you talk about something, I think it's important to add to this too, Kevin, and that is that Theo's teachings at their core is about raising our vibration to a point of a state of being, becoming a state of being of unconditional love. And that any thoughts that we have about ourselves to the contrary are simply not true. These are all thoughts and beliefs that we've adopted that are not true about ourselves. And as we go through this lifetime, they could even be beliefs that have been adopted in the previous incarnation that influence this lifetime. And to Sheila's point about the natural state, that's our natural state of being. And we're becoming that. It's not a feeling or an emotion. It's a vibrational state of being. And the reason I bring this up is because as our natural state of being, in that state, there is no doubt. There's calm, there's peace, there's love, there's joy. Yes, there's happiness even, of course, as a part of that. But it's not conditional. Happiness at that point isn't conditional upon anything happening to be happy. It's just an amazing state of being that's indescribable. We've all had moments of it in our lives, and now we're moving into it more fully. And again, the reason I bring this up is as it relates to our intuition, right? It's who we are. What you were talking about earlier about getting tapped into the all-knowing part of ourselves, that's our soul. And that's the connection that we're making now today. And in all of the with all of the misinformation that's out there today, this part of ourselves, this massive part of ourselves, so much bigger than our physical body, Theo talks about our souls being, is the truth barometer. And if we move into fear or paranoia, those are false belief barometers. You know, that's really the difference between a truth barometer and a false belief barometer. And the last thing I want to say about this is just that our intellect is created beautifully. Our ego does its job beautifully to create and solve problems. And it's going to try to talk us out of our intuitive knowing. So just for very smart people, many of which, of course, are your viewers, we would caution you to just be a little bit careful about letting your intellect talk you out of what your body, your higher self knows to be true. And it's going to assist all of us in wading through all this nonsense that's out there, untrue stuff that's really having a really negative effect on a lot of people's lives.
Oh, it's terrible right now. I see it. Well, we had this conversation off air, didn't we, about some of the opinions of others out there within the spiritual community as well, right? Well, they call themselves spiritual. And yes, just the amount of misinformation and the love that these people have for these people, I think sometimes sort of dilutes or doesn't allow them to, I don't know, just their discernment's off in some respects. And but we're all on our own journey, aren't we? And I feel that, you know, no matter who we're following, right, I guess, you know, you're on the journey of self-discovery in a sense, aren't you? You know, was it true for me in the end? Did it empower me? You know, was I lacking in myself to want to go and believe and just follow, you know, blindlessly just because someone comes along over as though, you know, they're very, you know, truthful speaking, or it's almost like a hypnosis in a sense, isn't it? It's sort of self-hypnosis. But I think that what you're promoting right now, what you guys are doing, and that's why I've got you on, is this whole thing where get into your own zone, get into your own truth, get into, so, you know, there's so much going on right now. There's a lot of, not panic, but fear of the unknown out there. But actually, when you do tap into that more psychic part of you, that truer part of you, that all answers lie within. And that's kind of what you're teaching as well. That's part of the teaching of what you're doing.
Yeah. You know, it's to empower people to be all that they can be. You know, the fact that I have had Theo working with me for 53 years, for 5 decades, and teaching all of us throughout those many years, and particularly now, to empower us to be all that we can be. You know, I knew in the beginning, when this all started with me in 1969, there weren't people doing this, but I knew to be a mentor to those who were opening up spiritually. I've seen waves of this opening happening over the years that I've been doing this work, and have mentored many people that have opened, such as Esther Hicks and others. And in that process, noticed how when people have recognized that their soul is so powerful, that they know more than they think they do. They are more than they think they are. Their whole life changes. And the more you use your intuitive gifts, the better you get at it. And the more critical thinking you have to know that you can know the truth. So that's been a big part of the work that I've done over these years, is knowing if I can do this, everybody has their own particular way of tapping into source and guidance, and we should be using it and not be afraid.
Yeah, and I just want to add here, because I know we've got so much to talk about, and we're going to get into the work that you guys are doing as well, that when we see the suffering of others on TV, or online, which we're seeing a hell of a lot right now, and undeniable suffering, right? If it's not millions fleeing, and leaving their pets and loved ones behind, it's the death and everything else of other souls, right? I think when you're looking at scenes like that are almost reminiscent of World War II, I think by actually connecting back to who you truly are, there is a sense of peace that, we are all connected in a sense, but, to know that those souls have moved on. And this sounds so cruel, me saying this, but it was their time, and everything happens for a reason in some respects, but it's not to say that we're not saying there's not a wrong and right here, but God, it's so difficult to put this in words, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But that there's a bigger picture being played out. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. There is. And believe it or not, we've all come here for this. Our souls chose to be here, and Theo tells us we've chosen to be here in an exquisite time of transformation, a transformation of consciousness that hasn't ever happened before. We've been pushed to it, we've been introduced to it, but now this time of fifth dimension energy is so refined that we can move into this higher dimensional frequency.
Absolutely. Everything you're saying there is so beautiful and so true, I feel, right? I'll just add this as well, that actually, at a time like this when you can go in and get the answers yourself, or not get the answers, well, you can, but to just realize that, to take that edge away sometimes by tapping into that bigger part of yourself, actually you're helping others around you.
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Kevin, I was just going to mention earlier, one of the gifts we have for all of your viewers is Theo's Psychic Self-Discovery series, which we're going to, I know you're going to link them into. It's all complimentary. It's videos and live events with Theo that we're gifting to everybody. But one of the first videos that we have in the program is called "You're Not Crazy, You're Psychic." And to circle back to what Sheila was just talking about, we're having these experiences. We don't trust the experiences. Sometimes we think we're a little crazy, or we don't want to talk to other people about them, or what have you. But tying it into what's happening in the world today is these awarenesses that are coming in, these knowings that are coming in, these no doubtedness, these truths that are coming in. And and we talk about this in the series for everybody. We talk about the various ways in which we can receive information. It's not just knowing, it's not just feeling. It could be seeing, it could be hearing. It could, there's different ways. It could be in our dream state even, right? So that, and this is as we refine our vibration, we get ourselves into that place of no doubtedness, and that's what you're talking about in terms of being able to trust that yes, the horrors that are going on. Is there a higher perspective to all of this? And Theo, of course, does share that with us. That indeed there is. It's a mystery. I think most of this it remains a mystery for us up until now, up until this level of awareness that we have today, but we're continuing to expand and expand and expand with Theo's guidance into these higher realms of understanding. And
again, it's not just Theo's guidance, it's also obviously, it's listening to your own guides as well. I know that in the 12-week mentorship, and we'll talk about all the programs that you do right now when it comes to the sort of psychic development, psychic ability development. But I guess there is a part of that tell me if I'm wrong, that you are able to sort of help people to connect with their guides, maybe even, or.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a large part of what the program's all about. Our angelic guides are available. We all have them. The myriad ways in which we can connect with them. It's like magic and miracles that are happening. And we all have this ability. And this is one of the things that we talk about in this complementary program I was just telling you about as well. We zero in on that, on how to make that connection with our angels and our guides. And when that starts to happen, life is so much more fun and so much more effervescent, is a word Theo likes to use, more like Sheila said, empowered. It's just a different way of being, and we have all of this available to us. And all we have to do is shift our beliefs around it a little bit. If we don't think that's for us, it's more like for people like Sheila and you and I, Kevin. We're just normal guys having a human experience, but you know what I'm talking about to be true, because you and I both are having these experiences, as are probably all of your viewers as well. They're tuning in.
Absolutely. And what I was just saying there as well, just previously, was, from the sense that, when we do this sort of work on ourselves, or if you feel the pull to want to do it, if you feel it's going to help you right now, that I was saying as well, there is a ripple effect of that, of helping others around you.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
So you mentioned there that you've got the THEO Self-Discovery series. So just talk us through what that is, and because I believe there's some live webinars with that series, and when that series starts as well.
Yeah, it starts right now. It's actually active now, although you'll have access to all of the videos up until this point that we've released. And let me just set this up for everybody, because it's really designed to accomplish all the things that Kevin and Sheila and I have been talking about up until right now. And that is to examine your beliefs around all of this, to be eliminating any fear or doubt or worry about any of this, or old tapes that play about it being fearful or inappropriate or what have you. We go into developing it. But by the way, this is a 5 video series and a 4 live webinars, AskTHEO Live. So you're going to have an opportunity to be interactive with Theo, which is really, really cool. You're going to be able to come in live. You're going to be able to listen. You're going to be able to post questions. Some people get promoted to actually interact with Theo live personally. They're all very topical. The first one is creating everyday magic and miracles. And then we have 3 more following that as well. So there's live Theo experiences. There's recorded videos on very specific topics. The first one, like I mentioned, is called You're Not Crazy, You're Psychic. And so this whole program, Kevin, to what we've just been talking about, is designed for us to be able to know how powerful we are, to tap into our intuition, our truth barometer, to connect into our angels, our spirit guides, our higher self, to understand the collapses of time and space, for instance, past life recalls, out-of-body experiences. And what happens in the series is that Theo gives us clarity and confidence and insights into how natural all of this is, and for us to be able to confidently and joyfully navigate this who we really are, essentially. So this is just our gift. We're really excited. There's a free guided meditation included to have an experience with Theo called Raising Your Vibrational Frequency, which is a wonderful way of getting integrated into the vibration of Theo and how elevating that can be, and also how elevating these teachers and how much impact these teachings can have by simply engaging with this complimentary series that we have for everybody.
Wonderful. And then I believe that there's a 2-day retreat end of April.
Yeah, it'd be April 30th and May 1st, Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, we have a spiritual and psychic exploration retreat with Theo, very hands-on, interactive. It's a super fun event. We get tremendous feedback every year we do that. And then later on in May, we start a 12-week program, a live virtual program called the Spiritual and Psychic Exploration with Theo. So those are the things coming up. And then but most importantly right now is to invite everybody to participate in this complimentary series with us, because it can be a real game changer. It can really change lives.
And yes, absolutely. And we'll link, again, everything in the description below. It's coming up on the screen. The link is as well for the link to that series. I just want to say as well, I did attend the 2-day event last year, and I've got to say, oh my God, there were so many people. On that event. It was amazing to be part of it online, and I remember, we went into these sort of breakout rooms to, practice on some of the things that we'd been doing, throughout the 2 days, and I did actually have a few breakthroughs in that event, and it was just. Yeah, it was a beautiful couple of days. It really was, and everyone was just from the same energy, wanted to, try to open that side of them up, and it did. It happened for us. I will say that, and that's not me just saying it just to for the sake of it. It really did. So and it's always nice to have people, I think, on the same level as well. It was a nice vibe basically. So and it was great messages in those 2 days from Theo as well, and there was lots of interactions, so it was well worth it.
Glad you had a good time.
Yeah,
It was.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It was, and again, and if people wanted to, develop further, there is a sort of, I believe, a 12-week mentorship program that you do as well, where people can go. Well, obviously there's only so much you can do in 2 days, but I mean, over 12 weeks, you really do go into, the development of your psychic and mediumship abilities.
That's true, Kevin. It's a deeper dive. The retreat is an introduction, and then the 12 weeks is if someone wants to take it further and really practice those skills. So, yeah, and that too is fun. And to your point, the community that gathers, the people that get to meet each other, they're lifelong friendships that have been developed in these opportunities of discovery of self. Yeah,
you find your people. It's at our events. A lot of really, really resonant, loving come out of this.
I was just surprised that not surprised, but it was just so. Yeah, it was such a nice to see so many people wanting to, really progress themselves and to sort of open that side of them up. But I just thought, I knew you did that. Those obviously those events, and I know you've got a new event coming up, and with everything that's going on right now in the world, I think it's the timing is now. It's definitely one way for those out there. If you feel disempowered, if if it's all so much what's going on is really you're feeling from a place of just worried and everything else. This is definitely one way just to help you see that the power actually to see you through all this is also within as well. You may feel powerless, but actually there's a lot of power that we all individually own, but we just don't always access, do we?
That's true. That's true. And when it helps us to expand. And when we recognize that we can do this, to your point, this stuff works, imagine what you can do in life. If you're in this self-discovery that's amazing, that then leads to a greater expanded life experience where you'll continue to use and grow what you've begun, because there's no going back. You don't step back from it. It's you're moving forward, and your curiosity carries you forward too, because it's fun. It makes life magical, I think.
Absolutely so true. And for some people, like I said earlier on in this interview, it's about their next phase. It's the next purpose. It's the next shift that they need. Just to move them to wherever they're supposed to be going. And lots of people need help right now, don't they?
And it doesn't matter where you are on your path. If you're just opening up your psychic abilities, or if you've been doing this for decades and you've had you know precisely what we're talking about, wherever you are, it will take you to that next level, if you will, of your own personal self-discovery and experience. So it's a whole range of people that come join us.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned on the website, as you say on the website, it's a sort of deeper connection with like-minded soul family, and you get to practice your skills, with obviously Theo's support there as well, which is really important because, you can ask Theo anything, I suppose, in some of these sessions as well.
Yes,
I think, to broaden,
Yeah.
and to find clarity with one's own gifts, that is a unique thing to open up.
It really is. And, it gives us permission to be all we can be. And when we have evidence in our lives and we have confirmations within us, our own experience is our true place of being to let us know the truth. So when we're having these experiences and having the confirmations that we're getting from them, then we realize we can trust ourselves. To your point early on. And when we can trust ourselves, then we can have that critical thinking you were talking about.
Yeah, and when I mention sort of guides or angels or whatever it is, from what I'm really saying here is that by opening yourself to have this deeper connection, you're sort of open to receiving and understanding guidance then from the other side, which that guidance is always there, but are we always listening? Not always.
Yeah, the
Not
message.
always, but our listening ability refines as we practice, and we get better at it.
Messages become more clear. There's a higher level of no doubtedness. I got this. I heard this. I saw this. I felt this.
Yeah, and maybe it's not set events that people are so concerned about. I'm sure they are right now, but maybe it's something even more personal to them, that they've had a death in the family of some sort, right? And going on this journey with yourselves, even if it's just sort of just coming on just for the 2 days, because I remember some of the people that were on that event, some had had physical death in their family, and I think for some of them it was to know that oh my God, the soul continues.
Yes. Yeah. And that's such a powerful healing that happens.
Yeah,
when there is that realization.
I remember just some of the it's just coming back to me. Just remember some of the messages that people were getting was just a simple how much they were loved.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that's cool about what we do in these experiences, these live experiences with Theo, and we'll be doing this in some of the complimentary webinars that we're going to be providing everybody as well, is to, be able to make that connection to our deceased loved ones and to our guides is great, but it's also making it with each other, having a telepathic communication. Sheila and I did quite a bit of this when we first met each other. We'd go into meditation. We'd actually communicate, we'd come out of meditation, we're 1,200 miles away, and we'd have our notes, and we would get confirmations of the things that we were communicating to each other. So you can have a lot of fun with your friends, with your romantic partner, your family, whoever is open and receptive to having these kinds of fun psychic experiences. You can play and experiment. And I think fun is a word we want to reemphasize in terms of, moving into, these experiences that we have with all the people in our community in these events.
Oh yeah, there's so much you cover, even in the 2-day one as well. I'm just looking at some of my notes from that time that I did the event with you. For some people there, that just to talk to spirit for the first time, I think was an incredible thing. And you go into the different types of mediumship and all that kind of stuff on there. I remember that as well. And I think there's so much to this, isn't there? It's like a Pandora's box, isn't there? This discussion, it could go so many ways, couldn't it?
Yes, and the thing that I like to say, it demystifies it. We talk about all the ways of receiving. And many of us receive one dominant way, but then it opens up to more recognition of using all of our senses. And that's a powerful part of it. And we get to experience it, to find out where we're fine-tuned and how to use it even more. So that's what's fun. And we get to do it together. And to your point of the practicing and the breakout groups and so forth. So it's experiential for sure.
Yeah, and I think the thing with the actual mentorship program, if you're really serious about wanting to take this on as a career path as well, I think that's another good reason to want to do the 12-week course as well, because then you're really going into depth, and really it's a better way to, rather than just doing a 2-day course and saying, oh, I'm a medium now, I'm a psychic, right? I think if you're really serious about honing in on that skill, then you need to put the time into that, and doing that sort of course with yourself, most definitely, then you're on your path then.
Well, we would also encourage everybody who does not intend to be a medium for a profession, be your own medium. In other words, we invite everybody to come into this program,
Of course.
whether they want to do it professionally or not, because we are our own spiritual medium. We all have the ability, whether we use it professionally or not. There's so many everyday applications of this. And yes, you're correct, Kevin, about it's a great place if you really want to develop your psychic abilities, your healing abilities, your mediumship abilities, and perhaps share those with other people, which is great. But it's so much more expansive than that as well. It's for everybody who wants to develop their spiritual and their psychic awareness and abilities.
Yes, and as well as common signs from spirit, in a sense, because there's always some signs somewhere, isn't there, that they're trying to communicate when we're open to it. And there's toolboxes of how to do this as well. So okay, so just to remind us then, so we've got the THEO Psychic Self-Development Series, and that's starting now, and people can go from going from the link that's on the screen or in the description below. And then we've got the 2-day Psychic Exploration Online Virtual Retreat, which I've attended last year, and I can only give it really recommend it. It's a very good retreat, and I was treated to that by yourselves, and thank you for that experience. I appreciate you guys coming on here just to give you time right now just to talk about some of the stuff that you're doing. I guess if Theo's got any message that Theo might like to give, or where there might like to be a bit of interaction, that could be interesting.
Absolutely, let's do that. I'm sure Theo has messages for your audience, so here we go. It is the beginning, is it not?
Is welcome, Theo.
We are appreciative of the opportunity to be of service unto you. You may ask.
Marcus, do you want to go first, or?
Sure, I'd be happy to, to what we were just talking about too, Kevin. I thought I might just start, and then I'll turn it over to you. I just was, Theo, we've been talking. Well, first of all, Theo, do you have a message for Kevin Moore's viewers right now, please?
So this is a time of great change into a higher conscious state. Even though all things that have been occurring, ones have a difficulty to understand that is part of the process. This chaos is birthing a new way of being in the human existence. Expression is now, and ultimately a powerful transformation that is occurring in each and every one of you. Trust in this transformation. Out of the chaos will come order and a better foundation on the planet for the human species.
Theo,
What
can you share with us that would assist us in organizing our minds around some sense of higher purpose for the horrors that are occurring right now?
For all cataclysmic events, change happens. There's learning in it for everyone. And particularly now, when you have technology, then each and every one of you can be at the event when it is occurring. This is part of the transformation on the inner, but by the demands of the people, change comes. And we have stated for decades now that the change comes from the people politically, economically, creatively in and through each and every one. The ones might think that they are helpless in the situation. Your soul is much larger than your physical body. The energy of your soul extends and expands from you. And what can be done in these moments is to extend love, the unconditional love for each and every person. It is difficult not to judge, but in that judgment is a limitation. So extend love to the souls that are here as teachers from their experiences that are happening now, even death, for this transformation that will come for the world.
Kevin,
You may ask.
Kevin, I have one more and I'll turn it over to you. My last question right now is, Theo, if you could share, we've been talking about with Kevin about our truth barometer, knowing truth. We have that intuitive guidance system within us, each and every one of us, and with all the misinformation out there over the last several years, not just right now, but for years now, we have this ability to know truth. And I'd really like you to take us deep into how we can access that knowing, Theo.
You all have evidence in your lives. At small or large, at one point or another, when you spoke the truth or another spoke the truth to you, that you had a visceral experience in your body, that you knew without a doubt that truth was spoken. And you've used it throughout your life to learn to trust yourself, to use that barometer, that knowingness, that no doubtedness of truth in you. And we would encourage you, all of you, to continue to hone that skill, to ask from the inner, is this true? When you ponder a question, for you do know truth when it's spoken. And you do know by the visceral response that you have in your physical body of this. Continue to use that to give you the clarity you desire. There's an asking.
And then some of us, some of us ignore that, don't we? We ignore what that visual, what the body's telling us sometimes, or even when it's really, a deeper, more than the body, it's the soul, screaming at us saying,
Yes.
No, what are you doing? But why do we blindly keep ignoring that then?
So the intellectual mind takes over, for it wants to maintain control of you and of your life. We'll give you an example. A very simple example to your point is that you're going to a destination. And this is before you had technology guidance, or even if you do have it. But internally, your soul speaks to you and says, turn left. And your intellect then takes over and says, no, that's wrong. Turn right. So you turn right. You abdicate your knowing to the intellect, only to discover after you've gone a certain distance that you were correct in the first place. You should have turned left. You have evidence of these things and continue to mistrust it at times until enough evidence is built up where you take the first impression, the first knowing intuitively. And when your mind tries to manipulate you, you say no and take the direction of that impression, that knowing, that message of your soul. It's practice, isn't it? The more evidence you have of going against it, only to discover you were right in the first place, your soul was correct, then you'll begin to build on that knowing.
Thank you. Two questions, and I'll hand it back over to you, Marcus, after that. Firstly, yeah, thank you for this as well. So, something interesting that Sheila said at the beginning of this interview as well was that, you know, her work has built up to this time, and I know that in her books before it mentions this time. She's talked about this on other shows that I've had with her, and other shows apart from this as well. I feel, and tell me if I'm wrong, that this is just the beginning of the changes, that there is more to come, but it is not the end. But we maybe are in for a bumpy ride.
It is a bumpy ride, and it's been a bumpy ride, hasn't it? But we also stated several decades ago that it would begin in the Baltic states, this greater change. And here you are. We didn't explain how, but this is how the people say no more of this. And demand, it is not the political structures that make the change, it's the people, and you're witnessing that, are you not now? The people of Ukraine, the courageous people of Ukraine say this will not happen to our country, and they're standing strong, which empowers the rest of the world and is empowering the rest of the world to have their voices heard as well. So it's all a part of this greater change of all the structures and foundations of the world that is coming to fruition. And it is positive, even though it's very chaotic. Birthing a new world is messy.
Absolutely. And finally, I'll use myself as a sort of example here. With this event happening and other events, but especially this one right now, you know, I feel more pulled to move away from the work that I'm doing and put my time into what would be called the International Spiritual News Network, a network looking at the news from a spiritual perspective and looking at the deeper karmic reasons, with, you know, collectives like yourself and other people, right? But this is what I feel is so important right now. It's not just me wanting to change what I'm doing. Other people are being drawn and pulled to want to change what they do. And by exploring and by, you know, diving a bit deeper with yourself into the psychic abilities that we all have and into the intuitive side of them, this can only help them to really home into what they may be being pulled to do with this next part of their life.
Correct. And understand this, everything is spiritual. You do not put your soul in the closet when you go to work. Everything you do is coming from soul direction, soul drawing unto you what's appropriate for your path. So in this time, the ability to hear your soul speak is of utmost importance.
That is so true. Thank you for pointing that out, because actually it may be a number of things you're being pulled to want to do, and some of these things may seem completely they're so different to what I'm explaining what I want to do. Like, you can't, you know, no one would compare what they want to do to what I want to do, and vice versa. But it can seem so very, different and extreme what people want to do. There's no judgment what people want to do, but as you say, because it's all spiritual.
Yes, and know that challenge is just the curriculum of your life experience. It expands you. Know that life is wanting to live through you and for you, not to you.
Whatever that may be.
Yes.
As long as it's not hurting anyone else or yourself.
Sometimes it hurts the self when you go against it. Yes. That is where the challenge lies. to listen. Become good listeners of your soul, and life will have ease and grace.
God, that's so important. Thank you so much. I'll just put Marcus back on here just briefly.
Yeah, what a great handoff, Kevin. Thank you for that question. And what you just said, Theo, is that yes, we have the truth barometer within each and every one of us, but we also are developing that the BS barometer, if you will, the knowing of not truth when we hear it, as much as the knowing of truth as well. And that's equally as important, isn't it?
Of course. Not giving your power away to be soul-centered. We're not talking about self-centered. We're talking about being soul-centered. And when you are, even if you wobble a little bit in your life, you'll always find your way.
Yeah. I have a couple final questions briefly, Theo. One is to address, if you would, the fear of the unknown. You know, we all inherently, I think, have a fear of that which we don't know or haven't experienced before, particularly when we move beyond the five senses in our third dimensional reality. We move into these other dimensional experiences. Talk to us about how we're always in control. We have nothing to fear, and we can explore and navigate confidently, and perhaps get rid of some of the old tapes playing around some of this.
You all have your soul power. Nothing is greater than you. No one, not anything, can do anything to you that is not allowed. You can say no. And know that each thing that you draw into yourself, your soul draws to you, is an opportunity of growth and expansion. And again, you're more than your physical body. Your physical body is your earth suit, your vehicle for navigating this life, this planet. And all your senses are valuable to you in the experiences of your multidimensionality that give you the intellectual understanding of your soul. You may ask.
My final question has to do with intuitive decision making. So there's so many, there's virtually on every aspect of our lives, we can apply these skills to making decisions that that enhance and enrich our lives and bring more joy into our lives. It could be making a decision about a relationship or a job or a move, or like Kevin was just talking about, a deeper expression of our soul's purpose while we're here. Talk to us about tapping into the knowing, again, Theo, of when we're in that process of deciding between this and that.
So understand, first off, there's no wrong decision. Most are afraid of decision making because they're afraid they might make a wrong one. You will not. It's just a decision. And you make many decisions, thousands of them in a day. Most of them very small, but they're decisions in the direction of how you're going to spend your precious life moments. But your higher power always has the answer. Your higher knowing, your soul. So as you begin to ask on the inner, is this true? Is this correct? You'll have a knowing. And to utilize it. It could be as simple as yes or no. And understand, making a decision now does not negate that you will not make another decision later. For that is what life gives you. And decisions and directions are always there to grow you.
Do you think that decision is empowered when, if you're using your intuitive side, if you're sort of tapping into that part which we're talking about developing throughout this show, that actually it does help to make a stronger decision even though there are no wrong or right choices, when something's screaming at you like, this is wrong, don't do it, but I'll still be with you if you do it, but don't do it. When it's those kind of decisions, this only helps you to be tuned in better.
Yes. And we would use the word refinement. The more you utilize it, the more refined it becomes, and the more trust you will have in that voice.
Theo, much given thought, do you have some concluding messages for us today?
You are all magnificent, powerful beings choosing the human experience. And it is only a belief that you are not that holds you back from becoming it. And it's not a conceited or narcissistic way of thinking. It's important to understand this. And when you own that, it's a solid state of unconditional love of self. It has humility with an alignment to who you are, the true you. Trust in that. We are complete for this moment. God's love unto you. Good day.
Really powerful stuff there. Really powerful stuff. And some really important messages, right? What did you think, Marcus?
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. And I appreciate the opportunity, Kevin, to participate in the question asking with you. That was super fun. Yeah. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. I really appreciate it. Welcome back, Sheila.
Hi, Marcus. Hi, Kevin. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, guys, just remind us one last time, your website is
AskTHEO.com.
Okay, and the link for this events that we're talking about, that they're in the description below and on the screen as well.
And if I could add, go to the link. Go to the link, because that's where all of the complimentary experiences and videos and live webinar invites are going to be for everybody. So if you want to go to that is also where you can download the Theo guided meditation of raising your vibrational frequency. So that's the page where you'll get all your cool complimentary stuff there. Okay.
Yes, and there is a lot of cool free stuff on there, including the live webinars, which are about to start taking place as well. So I just thank you both for giving us your time right now. Appreciate that, and for bearing with me for doing this interview as well. Just thank you so much for what you're doing right now as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for the opportunity, Kevin. Stay well.
And much love.